Good evening and welcome to the Plan Commission ARB for September 2nd. If you have any electronic gadgets, please silence them now. Ryan?
Steve Lichtenfeld.
Here.
Bob Denlow.
Here.
Susan Buse.
Here.
Helen DeFay.
Here.
Jim Arsenault.
Here.
David Gibson.
Here.
Okay, we have minutes from the previous meeting. And that was on August 18th. Are there any changes? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
I move that we approve said minutes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We'll move on to new business. The first item is 6470 Ellenwood. And is the applicant here? Ryan, do we know if Robin is for 6470?
Robin, if you're here for 6470 Elmwood, can you put your hand up?
Okay. Okay. Robin, we'll begin with the staff report and we'll get back to you in a minute.
Subject property is located on the southeast corner of the intersection of Ellenwood and University Lane. Property is zoned R2 and is located in the Skinker Heights subdivision and is developed with a single-family home. Property is located on a corner, which results in front yard setbacks located on two sides of the property. The primary front yard is along Ellenwood and the secondary front yard is along University. Property has an existing metal fence in the secondary front yard that is set back from the property approximately 15 to 20 feet. This fence was impacted by the May 2025 tornado, and the applicant is seeking to construct a new 6-foot-tall wood fence located about 2 feet from the property line. Primary front yard fencing is common on University Lane, with each subdivision presenting a unique character of fencing. Fences in Skinker Heights are commonly shorter, ornamental, and metal. Fences in Hillcrest tend to be taller wood fences, and no fencing is present adjacent to White Elm Terrace. Staff find that a fence along the property line is compatible with the surrounding character, and additionally, staff find that the use of wood fencing along the property line would be a departure from the frontage character in Skinker Heights. Staff recommend approval with the condition that the plan be revised to one of the following. 1, either construct the fence of metal rather than wood. In this circumstance, chain link fencing would not be approved. Or 2, revise the plans to set back the wood fence at least 15 feet from the western property line.
Okay, thank you. Robin, do you have any comments?
Actually, it's Dan Wall. Robin's my wife.
Dan.
That's not a problem. But so, yeah, my only comment is that, I looked at the conclusion that you guys came to and your recommendations, and I would say that I probably would be willing to change it to metal. Now, so I guess if that's the case, I guess what's my next step?
Well, your next step, that really fits into the first recommendation. Construct the fence of metal rather than wood.
Exactly.
In circumstances, chain link will not be approved.
Sure.
And that would really go with what you have drawn, a proposed fence location.
Oh, great. Yeah, I think that I drove around today and I realized that there are actually no wooden fences, particularly in our area here, except the one by the church. But I can see where it makes sense. So I'd be willing to go to a metal fence that doesn't necessarily have to be 6 feet. It can be 4 feet.
Okay. And that would also make it similar to the fence directly south of you. But of course, that one is a combination of brick and metal. But you would be in line with that also.
Correct. No, that sounds fair.
And it would be a very good appearance along that street with the two properties.
Great.
I'm in favor of that as long as you've already agreed to one of the recommendations. Let's see what everyone else says. Bob?
Dan, Bob Denlow here.
Hi, Bob.
You have problems with a setback of 15 feet?
Yes. I mean, the problem with the setback is that it's just basically the same as it is now. I'd rather have it up to the property line, and then it makes my yard feel bigger, and would prefer to have it that way. And it's the same as the one next to me.
Let me clarify something. Ryan, have I misunderstood something?
No, it was an either or option.
Right. Okay, so the metal fence could be adjacent to the sidewalk.
Correct. The point of those options was to say that there's a character of metal fencing that's closer
Right.
to the property line, or if they really wanted to do the wood fence, perhaps setting that back further would lessen the impact on the neighborhood character.
Similar to where there are existing fences, yeah.
Correct.
And Dan, you want to have the fence up to the sidewalk, correct?
Correct.
I don't have a problem with that.
Susan,
All sounds good to me. Thanks.
Ellen,
No problem with the metal fence at the sidewalk.
All right.
Jim,
I think the metal fence, switching to the metal fence up against the sidewalk is a good solution.
David,
I don't have any problems with it.
Dan, one other question.
Sure.
Would you be upgrading all the vegetation in that area?
Upgrading the vegetation. I mean,
Yes.
the vegetation really doesn't need to be upgraded. I mean, what I have there, other than the fact that, you know, the Clayton tree knocked out a bunch of my taller bushes or trees that were blocking the pool.
Yeah.
It's really, the rest of the vegetation's in good shape. You know, you're not going to see anything different than you see now
Okay,
with the fence like it is, with the metal fence.
well, that's fine.
Great,
And you've agreed to the first recommendation,
right?
and we'll remove the second recommendation.
Okay,
And do we have a motion?
I move that we approve the staff recommendation and incorporating the first recommendation to construct the fence of metal rather than wood. In this circumstance, chain link fencing will not be approved.
right.
And what I also understand, Dan, your intent is to build the fence up along the sidewalk.
Correct. It'll be a couple inches back, but yeah.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, you're on the way. Thanks, Dan.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a nice night.
You too. Okay, we'll move on to the second item in new business, and that's 125 Crandon Drive. Okay, we'll begin with the staff report.
The subject property is located on the west side of Crandon between University Drive and Maryland Avenue. Property is zoned R2 and is in the Clayton Gardens Urban Design District. Property is developed with a 1.5-story single-family house. A code enforcement case was opened in August identifying work to be completed being completed without a permit, and the applicant is seeking approval for various exterior alterations. These include a beige paint for the brick, new gray windows, replacing the dormer vents with windows, painted shutters, and a new covered front entry. The surrounding blocks of Clayton Gardens contain single-family homes varying in age, size, and architecture. Given that painted brick is common nearby architecture varies, and that there are no changes to the house's massing, staff are of the opinion that the proposed changes are compatible with the existing house surrounding area in Clayton Gardens Urban Design District. Staff recommend approval is submitted.
Okay. Would you like to come up and give us any further comments? See if the green light is on and give us your name and address.
Stacy Karlovic. I'm the interior designer for Kelly Chase, who's the owner at 125 Crandon Drive.
Okay.
I have no further comments. Everything stated in the report was accurate. We just wanted to update the home to look more modern like the rest of the neighborhood. We can say we didn't even think about going through ARB to paint. We were going through ARB for the roof line, so we just didn't realize we had to do it for windows and painting and front door. So we did paint the brick to update the brick. We updated the windows, we updated the front door, and then we have the front patio roof line in the plans for approval. So other than that, we don't have any other comments.
Okay. Well, having looked at it, I think what you've done already looks very good. But I think what you're going to do, if we approve it, will really make the house look much better. Right now, it has sort of a flat appearance,
Mhm.
but the addition of that porch will make quite a difference. But I did have a question about that porch, or the porch cover. The concrete pad is already there.
There.
Okay, so it will not be
We will not,
extended.
no, we will not remove that. We're just putting the posts on the very front corners,
Okay,
about 3 feet out from the house.
the elevation drawing that we received shows the peak of the roof going toward the middle window
Correct.
on the second
Yeah.
floor. Does it go all the way back?
It doesn't. In the architect plan, it angles down and meets in with the roof line.
Oh, okay, we don't have that.
Okay, I wonder if he didn't give the side view of it, but it does not go all the way because of drainage issues and guttering. They have it so it kind of angles back and then the gutters flow appropriately.
Okay. And then, of course, you've shown us both the brick color, which we've seen for anyone that's gone by there, and the trim color that I think is already on the door.
Yes, it is.
Okay. And the shingles have already been installed.
New roof. Yes, we did get a new roof.
Okay. Typically, we like you to bring those in, but I can only speak for myself. I looked at them today,
Okay.
so they looked okay. Bob?
I think this is truly an upgrade. And I think you'll enjoy it.
Susan?
I support the staff recommendation for approval.
Ellen?
I like what's been done and what's going to be done.
Jim?
I'm usually the material stickler about seeing it in person, but I too drove by the house. I think it's a substantial improvement, and I think the new porch is going to only improve upon that. So no problems here.
David? Looks good. And Ryan, are there any other hands up? Okay. Then we have a recommendation to approve as submitted.
I move to approve the staff recommendation, adopting the improvements she's made together with the plans.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
Thank you.
very good. 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 Well, we're excited to see you reinvesting and making the house look even better. Thank you. Okay. Well, we've quickly come to the discussion session on sign regulations. And is that Ryan or Anna who's going to lead off?
Get this pulled up. Alrighty. So if you'll call from the previous discussion we had about signage, one of the items that we discussed was blade signage. And coming out of that, folks wanted a little bit more information. So we're going to dive into some of the fun details about blade signage today. So this review of blade signage has come out of a goal of the comprehensive plan to take a look at a lot of our processes and see, are there opportunities where we can maybe make things more efficient, streamline things, or address general concerns that folks have. One of those tends to be that whenever blade signs come for approval, they tend to be approved at larger sizes than what the zoning code allows. There's also, as we looked into it, sort of a lack of consistency in maybe how we're approving those larger blade signs. So we wanted to take a look at ways that we could improve that. But what are the goals of blade signs? Blade signs are meant to be highly visible for traffic that is moving parallel to a building, largely sidewalk traffic. It could be vehicular traffic as well, but it's going to be that those folks that are moving parallel versus something like a wall sign, which is going to have broader visibility, or a ground sign, which is going to be maybe to mark a larger structure. Your blade signs are going to be usually for specific points for that pedestrian signage. So right now, the regulation for blade signage allows 1 square foot, but we commonly get larger blade signs approved. And how does this happen? There's a couple different paths. One of them are sign subdistricts. These are meant to unify signage throughout an area to make it more cohesive. And ARB has previously approved larger blade signs here, and there's not necessarily any kind of trade that's required. It's tended to vary across time, how that's applied through different sign subdistricts, but the newer ones have not required generally any kind of trade. And then there's also the sign modification process. It's really intended to apply in unique or unusual conditions, but we see sign modification being used to get larger blade signs. Usually that's in exchange for less signage somewhere else. So what we're seeing is that some tenants are needing to give up their signage area while others maybe don't need to. And then additionally, blade signs, they don't have a rational size metric the way that something like a wall sign or a window sign does. Whenever we look at a wall or window sign, the size of that is relative to the size of a window or to the size of an area. We don't have that for blade signs. We just say, okay, maybe this can be larger for other XYZ reason. So let me get this Zoom stuff out of the way here. There we go. So what kind of data do we have on blade signs? So we have permitting data going back to 2017 that identifies 22 approved blade signs. That is not the total number of blade signs that are out there. I took a walk around downtown and there's blade signs that were either around before that have just been around and well maintained, or there's seems to be quite a few that just slipped under the radar and they never went through any kind of approval process. The average side of those blade signs that we have data for is 5.7 square feet, but if we take out those two highest outliers, which are up there around 20 square feet, our average drops down to about 4.25 square feet. Now, 2/3 of those are in sign subdistricts, and there is a difference between those in and out of the subdistrict. The subdistricts tend to have smaller blade signs at around 3.4 square feet, whereas the remainder seem to be much larger at 9.57. That 9.57 is only the blade signs that are outside of a sign subdistrict. And then I also looked in to see if we had any consistent ratios as far as what is the size of a blade sign compared to different elements of a facade. And it's all over the place. It's really inconsistent. Unfortunately, it's not a good place to start. So some of those points that you see down there at the bottom of the slide, what's the height ratio? You could have anywhere from 0.13 to 0.22 square feet of blade sign per foot of height in a facade. So it's kind of hard to sort of extract a consistency from that. So let's take a look at what these blade signs actually look like. If we can't observe a specific pattern of consistency in the data, what does it visually look like? So Ceylon, a block away here, this one on the left here is to advertise the apartment itself. That's around 10 square feet. And then this one on the right, which is the one that's applied to all but one of the blade signs that's on there. One of those surprise blade signs was actually on Ceylon that we don't have data for, but they're supposed to be 2.25 square feet. Continuing on, Forsyth Point there on the left, that orange box that you see highlights the first watch blade sign. So all of the blade signs that you would find along Forsyth Point are a consistent size, 4 square feet, 24 by 24 inches. And then Centene, they have a couple different blade signs. Most of them that you're going to see are going to be around 3 square feet, like this Posteria sign that's right here. Any of those that you're going to see along Forsyth, those are going to be 3 square feet. And then a couple of other ones that are out there that are maybe not in a sign subdistrict. So the Barry Waymuller sign, which is over on Brentwood across from Shaw Park, this 5.4 square feet is just referencing the actual sign itself, not this whole structure here. And then the Kingside Diner sign, that one's actually 21 square feet, which might present as kind of large, but whenever it's set back and as high up as it is, and it's got the 2 perpendicular pieces to it, that total comes out to 21 square feet. And then the 10.56 square feet for the 2 rooster signs. Any of those signs that you actually see along that building over there at Carondelet Plaza, those are all going to be the, on the south side of Carondelet Plaza, those are all going to be the 10.56 square feet. Then some other ones, I thought these were really interesting because they're both circular blade signs, one over here for the coffee shop at Maryland, and I can't remember if that's Topton or Brighton over there that's on the corner of. But this blade sign has been around for a while in various forms as the tenant has changed, but the actual size of it has stayed the same. Then all of these circular signs on the south side of Carondelet Plaza, those are all going to be 3.14 square feet. The difference in 7.8 and 3.14, just because of the way the math works on a circle, I can't remember if it, I want to say that this one on the right here is 2 feet in diameter, whereas this one on the left here is 3 feet in diameter. Just the way that math works out sometimes on these signs going 1 square foot in length, 1 square foot in height difference can dramatically change the square footage. And so I'm going to give you guys a nice visual example as I walk here to the back of the room, because those are great in a picture, but seeing it in person. This sign here, this is a typical yard sign that we would put out just advertising for a public meeting. This is 3.3 square feet. And then this one here, this is 12 square feet. So we also wanted to talk to Public Works to get their opinion, because blade signs often project into the public right of way. And one thing that they thought was very important is we want to maintain a pedestrian corridor for folks that's going to be about 5 feet wide and 7 feet tall, and we want to avoid spots where pedestrians can reach those signs. Additionally, when we want to avoid public works infrastructure, we want to make sure that we're not approving signs that are going to conflict with like light poles or trees, something of that nature. And generally, they would prefer that blade signs actually did not encroach into the public right of way. It happens a lot. And so in that circumstance, I said, what would you like to do? And they said, we need to have some kind of use and maintenance agreement every time. So we want to make sure that we're backing that up in some way if folks are going to project into the public right of way. So I asked them what their recommendation would be if they were going to be approving blade signs. And they said they wanted at least 8 feet off the ground, and it can't project any more than 2 feet into public right of way. So how do other cities regulate? Most cities are providing some kind of ratio. It tends to be with a facade length or height. And most cities are also going to have minimum and maximum projections, typically for that same sort of reason that they don't want to conflict with public work assets. But I don't think that those cities, and reviewing a lot of these cities, I don't know that they're necessarily great examples for us, because every city has a different kind of context. Something that we learned in the comprehensive plan process is it's really hard to compare Clayton. I like to refer to it as like the smallest big city out there. Most cities are applying their blade signage in different ways. There's a lot of auto-oriented contexts where you're going to have much bigger signs. You're going to have cities with, if they do have a larger pedestrian culture, they're typically going to be larger cities that have larger buildings. And so their blade signs might actually be going up the side of a 40-story building. So while we could apply a ratio, I haven't found any cities that are a great model, because there just aren't cities that really compare to us in terms of form of the built environment. So having reviewed all that, we previously recommended 5 square feet, and I've kind of, I've waxed and waned, but I've come back around to that 5 square feet. I think that 1 square foot is too small. While there are examples of a 2.25 and a 3, there's plenty of examples of blade signs that well exceed that or fall into the somewhere between 5 and 10. I think 5 square feet is a really nice middle ground. And why I'm leaning on that rather than something like a ratio or scale, I think those sign subdistricts present very, very well. They create consistency. So rather than say, we're going to base a ratio of the height of a building, I'd say let's just have a maximum to create that consistency across the block. Additionally, I tried to just create a ratio that might work well. And anytime I tried to apply a ratio to an existing building, we were getting blade signs that were ridiculously small or ridiculously large. There's not a ratio that really worked well unless we said, okay, here's a ratio, but it's a maximum of 5 square feet. Because even if you had a building that's only 20 feet in height, you're going to end up half the time with like an 8 square foot blade sign or something when you apply smaller ratios. So I think just creating a consistent size is really the best way to go. With that, that's a lot of information to throw at you guys. Do you want me to go back to anything, or do you guys want to dive into discussion?
Oh, let's talk about it. If we need to go back, you can do that. I was surprised. I didn't realize that our signs varied so much. But then when we saw the pictures and I thought about it, they really were related to the context that they were in, the facade width and height and where it was and how many more there were. So at first I thought a ratio was the way to go about it until I heard what you were saying. And I think I would agree not to have a ratio. But if we were to go with a 5 square foot sign, would that be a maximum? I mean,
That would be a maximum, and the way that this would actually, regardless of the maximum size that was selected, it would have a couple of other bounds as well. So let's say we had a 5 square foot maximum. We would also recommend it can't project more than 2 feet into the public right of way, can't be closer than 8 feet to the ground. And also just the way our sign regulations are set up, it couldn't go above the first floor of the building. So there are times where something like 5 square feet might fit comfortably into that, and there might be times where 5 square feet might not fit into that. It might actually be pressed a little smaller.
I think those 3 limits, 2 feet into the public right of way, and no lower than 8 feet to the ground, and what we already have, not above the first floor. I would certainly support that. But at some point, I was thinking of the salon buildings. Those signs seem to be relatively close together compared to others in the city. And it seems like the closer they get, the smaller they should be. I don't know how you regulate that.
Yeah, I don't know that I would go in the direction of, because I looked at ratios based on widths and there weren't consistencies there as well. Ceylon, both Ceylon and Beamiston Place actually though are good examples of the goals of the Northeast Downtown Overlay District and the goals of what we're looking at for some of our commercial revisions, in that area says, hey, we want retail based on these principles, that being a certain width, a certain fenestration with windows or materials. So if you were thinking about the goal of ground floor retail in downtown Clayton, that's the picture I would have in your mind, is the Ceylon or the Beamiston Place of where do you want blade signs to relate to in the future.
That makes sense. But then if you look at Kingside Diner, there are no other blade signs. I think that's the only one in that whole intersection. And I think you said it was 10 square feet plus or minus?
The Kingside one's about 20.
20, okay. I had no idea it was that big, but it fits on that building. So how would we deal with that if we had a 5 square foot limit?
It would, if say that there was no Kingside sign there to begin with and they wanted to come to us with that proposal, it'd be the same as it is now. The difference is we're just moving from a 1 square foot limit to a 5 square foot limit. So if somebody wants to come back with a 20 square foot sign, I think there was a similar size proposal at for the Carondelet Plaza building recently. They would have to go through the modifications process or a sign subdistrict process, depending on the context of their proposal.
Move on. Bob?
What the test is a lot, just your aesthetic judgment. Size of the building and everything that's going around that. It's hard to come up with a formula. That being said, if somebody, let's say this is passed and somebody comes in and wants a 10-foot, can they go before the board?
Yes, so if somebody wanted to do a sign larger than 5 square feet, they could submit a proposal to us, and our recommendation is going to be, okay, if you want to go through the modifications process, this is what I tell anybody that wants to go through modifications is, I think you'll be successful if your total proposal of signage is not exceeding what you would normally be allowed. So if they want to decrease the amount of wall signage or window signage, whatever they would like to do, just as the current process is, they can propose exchanging a larger blade sign for less signage somewhere else.
So if I am a developer and I come in with a 5-story building, I'm going to be horse trading with you?
No, the developer of the building wouldn't be the person that's, say, negotiating on the size of a sign. And actually the direction that we're going with a lot of commercial stuff, like we want to get away from doing PUDs as often is to get away from that ambiguity. What would happen is if a developer came in and built a 5-story building with ground floor retail, the tenant that eventually filled that retail space could come to us and say, I want to put a 4 square foot sign. We would look at it and we'd say, okay, 5 is the maximum. Is it at least 8 feet off the ground? Does it project no more than 2 feet into the right of way? And is it still below the top of the first floor? If they met all those criteria, they could put up that 4 square foot sign.
Remember that project that was proposed where the magazine store is, and they promised a jazz place on the first floor? If they had come in and wanted to build a sign shaped as a saxophone and to make it sexy, how would that fit in here?
Well, the 5 square feet would get them a lot closer to what they want. I mean, in a hypothetical, I'm just going to assume that a saxophone is going to take up more than 1 square foot.
Absolutely.
I think in the context of something like that, you'd be looking at something more akin to the king side spot than you would something at Ceylon, because it's unique. They might want something larger, they might want something more creative, and then it's at the discretion of the Architecture Review Board.
I mean, that bottom line, this is fine, but I really feel in the end, it's such a discretionary area of design build that there's got to be some leeway.
I can speak to that a little bit and sort of give you guys a context of why this was a particular interest to me. I have what can be professionally described as crappy vision. My vision is probably about 20/30 when corrected. I cannot read Posteria as I walk down the street until I'm right up on it. I can read Ceylon's a little bit, but I need to get pretty close to really read it. Blade signs serve an important function to pedestrians. Downtown Clayton is a place that has a pedestrian culture, has the goal of continuing to grow that pedestrian culture. I think that the signage in Clayton is generally very tasteful. It's not in your face like a lot of other places. I do think that the signs allow, the amount of signage that's allowed for blade signs is a tad small. I think that increasing to something like 5 square feet, although it is it's a bit of a personal opinion, or if it's a little bit of somewhat of a judgment call, I do think that the context of the pedestrian character and the consistency of improving larger blade signs maybe justifies that gut call a little bit. It's not going to be excessive, but it will be a step up in size from where we are presently.
Susan?
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate again how thorough the analysis is trying to reach that goal. And it all makes sense to me. The question I have is, my understanding is that is there a total amount of signage a building can have? And so this 5 foot of blade sign cuts into that calculation, is that right?
This would be adding to it. So we'd be adding 4 square feet to the total amount of signage allowed to a building. So presently, it's not that we know off the bat how much total signage is allowed, but when somebody comes to me for a modification proposal, I calculate how much window signage, how much wall signage would they normally have. And then that's how we can make recommendations to the applicant. This is maybe where you would have success with before the Plan Commission.
Okay, so this is an addition to what you'd be doing anyway if they're doing window signage.
Correct.
Nothing else.
Ellen?
I like the change from 1 square foot to 5 square feet. And I think your example of your own eyesight, I don't think you're alone. And many people need glasses, but when they're outside, no, they don't bother with them. So I think it's important, if we're allowing signs, to have signs that people can read. And your research supports the 5 square feet, so I would go with that. And then they do have the ability to go larger if they want to do a saxophone or something like that outside a jazz club. So I think you've done an incredible amount of research, and I think it's what you've done is really hard because we, as you've mentioned, we don't fit into a city where you can say, oh, it's just like us. We can go here, we can go there. You know, this will work. It worked here or there. We're unique, which is great. And you've taken all that information and come up with the 5 square feet, which I think that's a good size. So thank you.
Jim?
I was one of the people who suggested some visual aids, and I think you did more than enough there to kind of show us kind of what exists out there in Clayton, and even here getting to get an idea of that. I think this is in some cases being discussed as a limiting matter where I don't see it that way. The 1 square foot blade sign is kind of a non-starter. Basically, if we look, every single blade sign since 2017 is more than 1 square foot. And that's just forcing someone to come in here and do that. So I think it makes sense. We're kind of removing some red tape by raising that number to a responsible number. I think going through seeing it, 5 seems definitely like a strong number. And if someone does want a large saxophone or like the Carondelet building, Moneta, I believe that one was 20 or 22 square feet, but we all looked at it in the context and said, yeah, that fits. I think what was really striking about your presentation is, although the numbers were all over the place on all those signs, I looked at most of those signs and I'm like, that looks good. And that tells me also that, going up to 5 square feet, and letting someone kind of feel good about designing on those limits, that, we're not going to get some monstrosity, as a blade sign. And if there's a situation where a larger sign makes sense, then I think they can come present it and they've got a good shot of that too. So I see it as a great step, and I appreciate all the research that you did.
David?
Sorry, I missed a lot of that conversation, but I do agree with the recommendation at 5. I think that's going to cut down on a lot of the applications that come before ARB that are in that 1 to 5 range that probably don't need to be here. Because I don't remember a lot of discussion on any of those, because as you mentioned, the context on the signs, even when they're larger than 5 square feet, have been appropriate for the buildings. So I would be supportive of this change.
Well, Ryan, I think you've done a great job, and showing it to us visually, I think helps. I think the bottom line for me is it's good to have a limiting process as long as we have a modification process to go along with it. The 5 square feet seems realistic, and I think it's something we should really consider codifying and going forward with.
I appreciate the discussion, everyone. So
Thanks.
if we were to proceed with this, the next steps would be to draft the text amendment. And then also, last time from our discussion, we talked about ground signs, and we would still want to draft those ARB guidelines for those ground signs as well. And then we'd present those text amendments to you all and proceed from there.
Okay. It sounds very good. Great work, good presentation, and now we can move on to the next step. Thank you very much. Well, that's really one of our shortest meetings again. So well, after a long weekend, that's very good. So before we close out, I'd like to thank Bob for his 6 years on the Plan Commission and ARB. You've been extremely valuable. And as we all know, you start at one end and you keep moving up, and now it's time to retire. But we hope you'll come back and be willing to voice comments, even though you will be just outside the city of Clayton line. So we thank you for everything you've given, and hope to see you around.
Thank you very much. And thank the staff, especially.
Anything else?
Nope, it's been a joy.
We'll stop there then. Jim?
Bob, I'll certainly miss serving alongside you, and this has been a great year, and I'm glad I got the opportunity to meet you. Another thing I want to say, 2 weeks ago, the staff had presented on kind of character mapping of the neighborhoods as far as trying to get a feel of what neighborhoods are. I've spent a lot of time playing with those tools in the last couple weeks, and I can tell you I've learned an incredible amount of just kind of the feel of some of the neighborhoods, and I strongly suggest you guys to play around and look at the different inputs. And it really kind of changes how you see the neighborhoods, and even context decisions such as like this fence today. I feel like it makes those decisions a lot clearer when you look at that through the lens of several properties. So I've really enjoyed playing with the tools. Maybe that's just because I'm a giant nerd, but I would suggest you guys go in there and at least take a look at what Ryan and the staff is doing, because I think it's a really neat process.
Bob, we miss you already. Don't be a stranger.
I just started working with you. This isn't right. And also now you've heard about the character of the neighborhoods. Maybe you got to get back across that border. But thank you for everything you've done.
I really
Really?
feel,
Yeah.
even on Skinker, you're really a Claytonian still.
We'll take that. That's good. Thank you.
David.
I think I've told the story, or at least told Bob before. The first time I met Bob was maybe 16 years ago, and he was taking my deposition in a zoning case. And the last 5 years have been much more pleasant, and I've enjoyed working with you here on the Plan Commission. So thank you, Bob.
Thank you very much.
Ryan?
Thank you to Bob. And I also want to give a shout out to Jim for the neighborhood character inventory he's been doing, because he is almost finished with the Claverack neighborhood. I've been working on the Morelands since June, so just put me to shame.
Correction, I did finish Claverack.
All right.
All right. Well, Bob, thank you for all of your contributions over the last 6 years, and definitely with your contribution to our vibrancy in downtown as a neighborhood. So I hope that you will continue to help us in that goal of creating some regulations for downtown. And also, I hope you'll be successful in convincing your daughter, our new Clayton resident, to get involved with us as well. So anyway, thank you. And also thank you to Jim for doing Claverack. So Ryan here, if anybody else is interested in walking their neighborhood and helping with some of these parcels, he'll set you up.
Stephanie?
Bob, it's been very nice working with you. And I really appreciate your voice on the commission. I have really appreciated that. So you'll be missed.
Well, we will look forward to seeing most of you in about 2 weeks. And Bob, you'll be on?
I'll be at Martha's Vineyard,
Oh,
thinking about blade signs.
great. We'll check them out there.
I will.
They have quite a few.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll see you in 13 days. And we're adjourned.